Today was the nail in the coffin for me. We had been dating for 8 years prior to being married, despite the fact that my wife and I had only been married for 4 years at the time of this writing. I am 31 years old, and she is 27 years old. I am married, and we have 2 children. My wife and I have 2 children, and we are happily married. Before she started working at a new job around 2 months ago, everything seemed to be going well. She was forced to sleep in the guest bedroom due to insomnia, and she was constantly checking out of our home, so our talks with her were conducted entirely over the phone. She had changed the password on her phone, and we were unable to communicate with her in person. Then, about a month later, I started receiving text messages from a male coworker whom I had never met before. Despite the fact that nothing was discovered, I have a strong suspicion that it had been carried to the location. It was their contention that we were cheating on one another emotionally as much as physically that dominated their discussion. As soon as she learned the truth, she begged and pleaded with me to stay, so that we could work it out in marriage counseling together. I agreed. I was in agreement. Despite her best efforts, she was only able to maintain this emotional distance for 2 days before relapsing into her prior state. I then learned that she had continued to connect with him when I examined our phone records recently, despite the fact that I had set a hard boundary that we would not chat after hours. According to the operator, 1 or 2 of these calls came in after midnight and lasted for an hour and a half apiece. Some persons were accurate in asserting that she had been awake for an hour. However, others were incorrect. As far as the immediate future is concerned, I'm through with this project, and I'm just interested in the most promising opportunities that come along. The fact is that when it comes to my own house, I will not serve as a doormat or a backup plan for anybody or anything. Update 1. I found out about my wife's emotional affair last week, and I've been working on myself for the last 2 months to deal with the situation. She begs me to stay, tears streaming down her face as she expresses her apprehension about tearing our family apart. Following her violation of my clearly established boundaries when I found text messages from a male colleague, followed by phone calls that persisted after I told her to stop, she made the decision to break our family into 2 halves. The quality of our communication has substantially increased as a consequence of this, and she is now sleeping in the same bed with me and actively fighting for our marriage as well. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to put my confidence in her again. A part of me wants to file a lawsuit right immediately and be done with it, but another part of me wants to at the very least say that we tried counseling for the benefit of the baby, and that we were successful. While I'm penning this, I'm realizing that divorce seems to be the only alternative available. I'm most terrified of divorce because I don't want my kid to be harmed by any random person that comes into the house after she leaves. In the event that we didn't have a child, I'd rip the bandage off and call it quits on her. I'm hoping for the best right now, but I'm also preparing myself for the worst. Update 2. I've been living with my STBXW for the last 3 months after deciding to divorce my ex-husband. We have now been scheduled for a court appearance in February. As a result of informing my STBXW of this, she inquires the following day, I have a terrible feeling about spending evenings away from the child. Do you think you'd be able to stay until the summer even after the divorce? Moreover, she tried to frame it such that it was advantageous to me, given that the place I'm moving to is farther distant from the baby's daycare than my current address, and that I would have to drive greater distances each day in order to get the kid to daycare. You should have thought about it before you cheated on me, I tell her. You should have thought about it before you cheated on me, I say. I was given pretty favorable terms in the papers, which we both agreed to sign in a calm manner. There is no child support or alimony, and joint custody is divided equally between the parties. It is now unclear whether I should be honest with her and tell her that I do not plan to stay in that house for any longer than is absolutely necessary, or if I should give her what she wants to hear until I achieve my goals. In the event that I'm completely honest, I'm concerned that my ex-wife would either alter her mind about the divorce agreements or bring false allegations against me. Story 2. My 28 male wife, 29 female of 9 years, broke my heart and cheated on me, after all that I put up with and sacrificed for her. I'm absolutely and utterly shattered. I'm a wreck. Whatever happens to this long piece, I just need to get it off my chest because I'm completely broken and have nowhere to turn for help, I haven't eaten or slept in 3 days and haven't been able to function properly. The first time my wife and I met was when we were both 18 years old, and we have been together since then. The course of my life led me face to face with and into the arms of a strikingly beautiful, generous, and kind lady who emanated energy and happiness. We fell in love immediately. We got married within a year of meeting one another, and had our first child not long after that as well. If this free spirit kind of personality were confronted with commitments, I could see right away that he would have a crisis of confidence, kids, houses, etc. When she was sad, she turned to escapism such as smoking, overeating, chatting on her phone all of the time, and other forms of distraction. After a number of years, I grew less judgmental of her and more accepting of her nature. I even began to gravitate toward her, sitting outside with her and watching her play on her phone, hang out with her friends, and so on, until I eventually became friends with her. The daily compliments and affectionate expressions of my wife were a testament to my wife's admiration and love for me. Even after 8 or 9 years of marriage, she continued to show me both emotional and physical signs of her passion for me, including weird physical ones, like sniffing my body odor and stuff like that. The most of the time, we enjoyed a lovely marriage and a nice home life as a couple together. As a result, during the course of her life, my wife has experimented with a number of techniques to overcome her difficulties. Her college career lasted 4 years, all of which were extremely intensive. After that, she wanted to be a salesperson, then a nail tech, and finally an online business owner, and during all of those endeavors, she makes little to no money, is constantly on the phone or dealing with something, and she is unable to contribute much around the house as a result of her busy schedule. Being completely candid with you, my willingness to accept it all was motivated by a desire to ensure that the partner I had chosen could finish and pursue his aspirations. I didn't want her to live a life filled with regrets, so I worked extra hard, sometimes working 4 jobs at the same time, to ensure that she could complete it all successfully. Neither a bachelor's degree nor any special certification was required. I tried to get my BSc in computer science but stopped out after half a year due to the workload being too demanding for her company. It was either her or me, and I picked the latter. She seemed to be experiencing a personal crisis after the failure of her last business and the celebration of her 30th birthday, which I was completely ignorant of until we had a quarrel 4 weeks ago, according to my perception. When she got home, she exaggerated everything, wouldn't come home, and when she did come home, she would sleep at the couch, shout at me when I talked to her, etc. She was a complete nightmare. Everything, she said, was caused by our relationship, and she complained to me about how I didn't let her do everything she wanted while she was doing it, and that she was still compelled to do certain things as a result of our relationship. Yeah, the audacity. After 2 weeks of her emotionally tormenting me in therapy, she opened up about some of the things that had bothered her in the relationship, and I considered it and promised myself that I would change for her, which I did, and am now working on improving myself on a daily basis. We're still in the throes of counseling right now. As a consequence of my shift, she grew more open to me, but I got the strangest feeling that something wasn't quite right with her. When I turned 30, she offered me the gift of enabling me to sleep with other females if I so wished, which was something she would never have allowed me to do in the previous years of our relationship. I began to be worried because there was one particular guy who worked for her delivery company with whom I saw her communicating on the phone and via text messages on a frequent basis, and this made me feel a little uncomfortable. When I challenged her about it, she reacted with a remark that was quite similar to mine. "Oh, he's the one, isn't he? Isn't he the one?" Despite the fact that there is nothing to do, the weather is so hot that you wish you were there instead. When she finally came to me, she told me how much she appreciated and loved my character as a person, as the father of her children, as a parent in general, and so on. Why she couldn't love me as a partner again was beyond her comprehension. What was this nonsense? A person's feelings for the other person do not just melt away, as if they were never there in the first place after a relationship is over. She confided in her friend about her love for me, which just served to confirm my fears that something wasn't quite right with her. When I snooped around her phone, I discovered that she had deleted all of her conversations with that individual. She seemed to be acting discreetly. She was in his home, and although I don't believe they slept together, it doesn't matter because I have a strong suspicion that emotional infidelity is taking place. It was this gentleman that came to my house and engaged in conversation with my kid, as well as shaking my hand, among other actions. It makes me want to stomp on his stupid skull, but I am restrained since the kids need my assistance at this time. My relationship with her was on the verge of collapsing, and I had been giving her space, allowing her to go out whenever she wanted, and doing my hardest to be a better person when I finally told her she could herself and leave me alone, knowing that I would respect her choice to do so. With her behavior, I'm done. Cheating is my ultimate limit, and she's crossed it with her attitude. I've reached the end of my rope. Even after all these years, discovering that you have been cheated on is a horrible experience that may have a detrimental effect on your self-esteem. Furthermore, we have 3 children who are completely reliant on us. I am always thinking about them, which is why I have done all I possibly can to maintain our marriage, but I am starting to fear that there is nothing further that can be done at this time. Her emotional abuse has harmed me to the point that I will never be able to put my trust in another woman again, in my view. Cheating fiancé asked me to take her back after AP threw her on the curb. I don't know what to think or feel. I am both extremely confused and angry. I go between fits of extreme depression and anger over what a fool I have been, and who this person really was. My fiancé, F27, of 2.5 years and I, M36, were laid off last year. I had a very demanding job and worked long hours. I saved so we were not struggling, and we spent the last year traveling, spending time together, and falling what I thought deeper in love. Since then I have turned down many jobs if they meant I had to relocate due to her restrictions from her prior divorce. I wanted to be with her and her 2 kids, and honestly that's all that mattered to me. At the beginning of March we were both stressed out, and I have been trying to have deeper conversations about the future and our plans, which she stressed over. She says she has extreme anxiety. I told her I would watch her kids, and she could go out with her friends to a concert she had mentioned she wanted to go to. She went, texted me the whole time, and came home that night. When she got home she was plastered out of her mind, extremely sloppy, drunk, and messy. The next day she was acting weird and never said a word about the concert. No pic, no videos, not even really any details other than basics. All out of the norm for her. I knew who she went with, and I did know a guy who was the cousin of the 3 friends. I found it weird that over the next week no one mentioned anything about this night. It's like it never happened and nobody would acknowledge who went or what they did. At a birthday dinner for her grandmother, she told me the guy who went with them to the concert bought her and her sister tickets to another event. I got angry, said it was not okay. After dinner, I left to go to my house. Since her divorce has special rules, we have to maintain 2 households, hers and mine. She spends Thursday through Sunday with me and Monday through Wednesday at her place. I got on Facebook for the first time since 2007 and found the guy. I messaged him and asked why he bought my fiancé tickets to an event. He denied even knowing her. I had proof he picked her up in his truck the night of the concert and text where they all said they were going out. Still denied everything and started to threaten me, my life, and tell me he has connections. I confronted her again in person at her house. She basically admitted he had a wife and kids, that he shouldn't have gone, and she couldn't show me anything cause he demanded they delete everything. I told her she needed to figure out what she wanted. Come clean or end things and move on. The entire next week I only occasionally heard from her, and I finally made the decision for her. I gathered everything in my house that was hers and told her to come to get it. I had been through this before, and we were breaking up. Since that happened, the wife has contacted me several times. I know divorce is nasty and individuals often attempt to make themselves seem better, but what she said rattled me. M37 was a human dumpster fire. There were tracks when he indicated he was out of town for business, and then spent almost a week at her residence. That I couldn't do of her divorce order. He has repeatedly massaged my face and threatened not to speak to or give his wife anything. He texts my ex, and she acts as a hype guy. He keeps giving me images and telling me I ducked up and he'll make her shine like they're an Instagram pair. She's returned to grab her things. She came in 2 or 3 times to chat to me. She broke down and cried, saying she misses me. She said she screwed up and wants me back. She asked about my family and whether I missed her. After that, she informed me he moved in, cursed her out for talking to me, and is cruel to the kids and others. The wife informed me her sister stated I'm not suited for her, and that she would feel uneasy with me after all the stuff she talked about me. This man also buys them stuff, so she didn't want to lose tickets to events. And I implored her not to listen to her 19-year-old sister. She departed on good terms, and I hoped she'd seen sense. The following day she was enraged at me, refusing to give me back money she borrowed from me, and how I was destroying her life with him. I'm worried about her and the kids because of this guy. And he, M37, continuously stalks her, wanting to know where she is and who she is with. He has been texting her and the kids, threatening them, asking who they are with and where they are. Years apart from her friends and family. He has renal problems, heart failure, hearing loss, and diabetes. He'd been married 3 times before, and had served 6 years for pill usage and selling. It continues on. He's a genius at mind tricks, and I know it's going to become worse for her. A man's actual self always shines through. All I can think about is who is this person, and how did I fall in love, and spend 2.5 years with someone who transformed in an instant. We had literally spent the week before vowing to spend the rest of our lives together. We've been trying for a year, with many ups and downs. It would have been my first child, and I was devastated. I'm totally lost. She's the second person I've actually loved, and I trusted her and her kids completely. To deceive me after all our discussions about her ex and her history of being cheated on makes me wonder how stupid I am. Why would I want to do this with anybody else? This is how fine men and women lose hope, stop caring, and exploit others for sex. Update. To quote something I once heard, the difference between truth and fiction is that fiction has to make sense. I have cut contact with her, blocked her, and am trying to get over her. The bizarre aspects of this is why I am so shocked and why it has been so hard moving on. I had to cancel most of our planned trips. It's her birthday week, so I have had to scramble to get people to go to a concert on her birthday with me and prepare to Disney in Florida by myself for spring break this next week. I still miss her with everything I have, but her actions don't meet her words, and I'm not going to deal with the narcissists again. Story 2. Kicked out my girlfriend after a night of drinking with guys. I, 24M, booted out a 5-year-old girlfriend, 24F, for not arriving home till 9:30 a.m. That's afternoon all, first post, hope it's okay. We've been dating for 5 years. She recently went out with her girlfriend 27F for Friday night drinks and refused to invite me. We just moved here, and she has old friends and relatives here. Normally, when I went out with friends, she was always invited. But she's not me, and individuals are different. She avoids me all night by stating she'll be somewhere else when I come with my pals. After a few too many, I'm a lightweight, I feel like a duck and leave home, while she continues with her buddies. Except this time she goes out till 9:30 a.m., and then comes home and apologizes for messing up and staying over at her friend's boyfriend's, don't know his age, but he's a man place. Why would she get out of the taxi to third wheel it with her buddy and her boyfriend? Maybe this entire thing is a cover for whatever she was truly doing. This narrative is a colander full of holes. I evicted her from our apartment and she spent the previous 2 nights with her folks. I told her she couldn't ignore me. She stated she wouldn't go out without me and wouldn't drink for a few months if necessary. What type of connection is that? So I told her to go. Now I miss her and am unsure whether to welcome her back or whether I was too harsh. Do I hold firm and hope she returns, or do I give up and let her come home? My brain is a jumble, my job is hurting, and I just know I miss her, but she screwed up, and I'm not sure I trust her narrative. A few months ago, she went to the beach late at night with her ex-boyfriend, 27M, and a female colleague, who we'll call Susie for anonymity, and returned with no pants, only underwear, and his shirt wrapped around her waist after I begged her to come home for hours over the phone, seriously considered suicide, called my mom overseas, asked her to wire me some flight money. The following day I got to the airport when my girlfriend phoned to say she didn't believe I should leave, and that she felt we could still be friends. To be fair, her trousers were torn before I raced away, but it's still not right. They had a bizarre love triangle in college where the ex-boyfriend cheated on my girlfriend with this Susie, but now they're almost best friends. I began out with them but left after the ex said he was better for her and Susie said my girlfriend was confused and didn't know what she wanted. If we were out with her ex, she pledged not to see him anymore to safeguard our relationship, and I believe she has kept her word. Our connection has since improved, or so I thought. Susie is a nice-looking girl who is unemployed and lives with her parents. I agree she's great to date, but I'm not sure why my girlfriend still does. I'm not sure whether that matters, however my girlfriend is attractive, and has been wanting me to propose for some time. As a result of the relocation, I've gained a few pounds and lost some muscle mass, but I'm steadily losing the fat and have got a nice job here. Please be kind since I'm in a semi-vulnerable position and haven't told anybody yet, so I felt it'd be better to discuss online anonymously.